Good. How are you, Doug?
The recording's on. We're all good to go. You guys are very timely. 10 o'clock. No later, no sooner. Good for you. Well, um, how's everybody today? How's Allie? Did your meeting go well with your client?
It did. It did. He said he's a friend of a friend, and he was saying how for a while he's been looking into, getting a house. So I've been like trying to like see what he was like, what he was thinking. He said he wasn't pre-qualified though, so I'm like trying to push him to get that done.
Do you
But
have
yeah,
Paul's
he's
number? Paul
yes,
who?
I do. I do have Paul's number somewhere.
Yeah, just what I normally do in those, Allie, is you don't let things happen on their own. I
Yeah.
found that you take control of everything. So what you do is, hey, I have a friend that's or I have a colleague that's a mortgage broker, really good. He's the top of the line. He can just give you some advice if you like. How about I have him give you a call and he can tell you how to go about it. And then
I'll do that.
you don't do it the other way around. You don't give the client Paul's number and say call him. They'll never call.
Mhm.
But if you say, look, he'll give you a ring and don't worry about it. Whenever you got time, just chat with him. He'll take 5 minutes to give you some good advice. How's that? And then you just give Paul the number, and Paul will call you back as soon as he gets him pre-qualified. And that'll when I was a mortgage broker, I found that motivated people quite a bit. And a lot of times I would talk to them as a mortgage broker, and they would say the same thing. I'm not really ready yet. I don't. We're not. We're just looking. We're not involved. And what I would do is I would chat with them, and it would, as a mortgage broker, it doesn't take long. For me to take an application, it takes 5 minutes. I need your name, your birth date, your address, your income, where you work, and that's about it. And I can do that in 5 minutes. Where do you work? What do you do? How about your spouse? What do they do? Where are they at? What's their birth date? If you have a SIN number, you can give it to me. I can that'll for the credit bureau. I get all that done, and I can submit the application right away immediately to the credit bureau. So what I would do is I would be on my computer and I would input that information right now, like in real time. I would hit the button on the credit bureau, and the credit bureau comes back with what they call a credit score or a beacon, whatever it is. And usually, if the beacon is anywhere over 680 or 700 points, that means that their credit is good and that they're eligible to do whatever. And then it comes down to doing a spreadsheet. Well, we have the debt ratios. So as long as they can afford it, that's where you get the interest rates right now are running 6%, but they have a stress test. That means that everybody, getting a mortgage, they don't qualify at the interest rate they're getting. They have to qualify 2% higher in case the rates move up. And as they did recently, they've moved up quite a bit. And that stress test saved a lot of people because they're still within their budget. And I was in financing for a long time, and forever people are overextending themselves, meaning they're borrowing and borrowing and borrowing and borrowing and borrowing, and they get more overextended. Then they start using the credit cards to pay their loans, and then so on and so forth. And they get in trouble. They go underwater, and they can't afford to live. They're living paycheck to paycheck and barely doing that. And I dealt with a lot of that, and we're kind of heading in that direction now, relative to that. But the saving grace was that the government was wise enough to put the 2%, add the 2% for people qualifying for mortgages, so that if you qualified at 3%, 3 or 4 years ago, and your mortgage comes up for renewal, like if you got a 3% mortgage 2 or 3 years ago, and then you're qualified at 5%. When you come up to renew your mortgage now at 5% or 6%, you're still within the reasonable bounds of being affordable. So those things are kind of important. And then it becomes affordability. And then what would happen is that I would qualify them, I'd get all their information. And the problem that we had always was, especially these self-employed people, like realtors. You guys always think you make more than you do, or you say you make more than you do. You probably know what you make, but oh, I'm making 100,000 easy, no problem at all. You get their paperwork, it's only 60,000 kind of thing, right? And that's the same with everybody. We kind of exaggerate. So other than employed people, when I say I'm making 80,000 and I get a job letter that says 80,000 and my T4 says 80,000, it's all fine. But as self-employed people, a lot of times you're able to write things off. Like I write everything off. I write off my car, I write off my insurance. So if I show income of 100,000, I only pay taxes on 60 because I write everything off. I've got write-offs of I depreciate my car. I write off all of my computer expenses, all my travel expenses, everything I can, all your stuff. So it comes different. So when, as a mortgage broker, we would ask for the paperwork up front, get that, done out of the way. But ultimately, based on what they're saying, I could qualify a person fairly quickly within probably about an hour. I could get their, I could tackle their income. I could get their credit bureau. I could ask them information about their job and tenure, how long they've been on and all that, and see if they qualify. If I know it's going to have problems, I could address that with the client right there and say, look, we need this and this and this. You're self-employed. Before I can give you a pre-approval, I need some documentation. I need your T4. I need your, or you don't have T4s because you're self-employed. T4s are the little employment slips, but you have your tax returns. I need 2 years of tax returns so I can do an average, income average. So we could go through that, but what they'll do is they'll qualify a client. What I found that once I did that and I gave them a blank check and I'd say to your guy, yeah, based on the information you've given me, you're good for 1.5 million. You got to put, $300,000 down, but you have that in your bank account. That's 20%. We're going to give you a mortgage for 1.3 million. You're qualified totally. I'll put a rate hold in for you today. You're good to go. No problem at all. As soon as they got that, their whole demeanor changed. And a lot of times I found these guys that were shopping and weren't, going to be doing it right now. They're just shopping. Within 2 or 3 weeks, they'd have an offer in. So it's important to get that obstacle out of your client's way. And that's what Paul or whoever mortgage broker you work with or bank you work with, you guys should all have met with a banker, a credit union person, and a mortgage broker, and have all three in your database to phone at any time. Sometimes the credit unions will do things that the banks won't, and a lot of times the bank and the credit union won't do it. The mortgage broker will find a third party lender that will. So make sure that that these people are front and center in your in your contacts, and that you have a good working relationship with them. So if you guys deal with the Royal Bank, go in and talk to the loans officer there and make connection with them. And what I've done in the past with new realtors is that we had a relationship with I think it was the CIBC in one of the offices. So I asked the CIBC branch manager, if they'd come in and do a little talk to our guys and talk to our guys. And what we ended up doing is that we a couple of the guys made a deal with the branch that that the office was with, and it could be with your branch, whatever branch you're working with, to do a first time home buyer seminar. And what we did is we did it. We got a room in the bank, and we did it one night. We got coffee and donuts, whatever, and the bank put up the room for us. And the bank, the specialist, the mortgage specialists were there, but the bank promoted it at their tellers. And what we got, we had to do it twice because it was overloaded. We had two groups of 20 people come to this, first time buyer seminar, because all of the people coming to the bank, the moms and the dads and the aunts and the uncles and grandparents, would see these little things. Oh, my son or my daughter, or I want to come to it, or whatever it was. Well, we got 40 people out, and you got about 2 or 3 sales out of those 40 people, which is all you want, right? I mean, and then the bank would do the financing for us, and then we would do the thing. So we work in concert with the lawyers, with the inspectors, with the mortgage brokers, the banks, those kind of things. We're complementary to each other. So make sure that you're building your team with lawyers, and talk to Ken Passner, meet with him, or stop by his office, say hi. I mean, I don't know, you have to call him first, make an appointment, but he comes to our office quite often or does the online stuff. But make sure you introduce yourself and shake his hand and say, hey, Ken, yeah, I'd like to refer some business, because he's one of the best resources we have. I call him all the time. And if I can't answer the question, I'll refer my client directly to him. And as a matter of fact, just this morning, we have one of our top realtors in the office is writing like all this stuff on Broadway. You guys know about the Broadway corridor there on Broadway. You see all of the signs going up for redevelopment and land assemblies and all that. Well, we got one of our guys heavily involved in that, and he's writing these clauses that you've got umpteen many people involved. You got the developers, you've got the mom and pop selling their place, you got the other realtors, all this stuff. And sometimes you have to, because these are long term, they're not just your buy and sell, move in kind of thing. They're gonna buy them, they're going to sit on them. They got to, go for, apply to the city for all of the permits. So there's a long timeline between the time the offer goes in and the closing, and there's deposits along the way. Well, he's asking me questions about these deposits, and if I did this and did that, what would happen? Well, those are beyond my scope, guys. I'm a managing broker. I'm not a lawyer. So, the advice I gave him, and I wanted to talk to you guys about that this morning, is that, yeah, you have to stray outside of the guidelines every once in a while for your clauses. But, if you do, you ought not to. And if you do, you want to talk to me, or you want to talk to Ken Pastor and get their advice on it. And that's rightfully so. But I can only go so far. I really can't write. I don't know what's going to happen if things go sideways. That's the problem. I can write it out for you. But if a lawyer wants to challenge it, they can challenge it. And basically what happens in real estate, from my experience, is that when the buyer wants to buy and the seller wants to sell, regardless of the contract, the deal will close. If you write a crappy clause, well, it just goes to the wayside, and the deal will end up closing because the buyer wanted to buy and the seller wanted to sell, and that was the end of it. And you just got to get it to the finish line. That's what the contract does. It takes us from the offer to the closing, and that's all it's got to do. And it's not once the deal closes, the land transfer and the money happens. That's really nothing to do with the contract, and it's a whole different thing. So we just got to get them to the finish line, or the start line, if you will, of the purchase to the lawyer's office. So writing these contracts, if you have to stray outside, and sometimes it's about a reno, they haven't completed the reno, or they got to do a repair, or they got to do something else. Something's wrong with the house, and there's something that has to be done before it. And we get these all the time. So this is kind of important. But what my advice to you guys is, when you're writing a custom clause, if you will, if you want to call it that, is that the intention of that clause has to be perfectly clear to a third party if they were to read it. So don't assume that, because you're in the middle of it and you're talking to the seller and the buyer, the seller's agent, the buyer, or you're whoever the agents are, and you guys, concoct this thing at 11 o'clock at night, this Frankenstein of a clause that you get going on out there. And if a third party were to read that the next morning, they have no clue what the hell you're talking about. What is this pertaining to? What are the dates on it? So what I say to you is that if a third party, and I'm talking a judge, were to read it, would they understand what you're trying to do? Would it be perfectly clear to them? So you have to spell it out in very clear, that a third party could read it and step into this contract and say, oh yeah, that's what they were doing. The guy had to do the repairs to the standard, whatever the clause might be. So, that's really important to do. The other part of that is that make sure it's definitive, exactly to what standard do they have to do this, to a higher standard than what's there, or, put dates in it, has to be done by such and such a date. It can't be a vague clause. They have to do this by then. They have to do the repairs by then. What kind of repairs do they have to do? And as a matter of fact, I think Ali, you were part of this one that we're going through with Rhiannon, about the guy that they wanted some stuff done on the
Yeah.
contract. The seller was supposed to do it to a certain level. The clause that we put in was a little vague, and the seller completed what the clause said, but the clause wasn't to the satisfaction of the buyer who we represented. Therefore, the buyer, the contract was enforceable. The guy had to close, but didn't get what he wanted, and there was a misunderstanding between our realtor and the client, and that's caused some problems there. So, these are things that you should, if you're not sure, you can refer them to me, but I can only go so far too. I would refer it to a lawyer, and I would refer my client to a lawyer. Now, if that were done in that case, then the clause would have been, I would have asked the client to talk to the lawyer about the clause to see if that's adequate for you and make sure that's okay. That takes me out of the way of the liability. I would say to the client, well, you and your lawyer, approved this. What do you want me to do? I'm a realtor. I write contracts. I don't write clauses. I referred it to your lawyer, and you and your lawyer said it's okay. So, you have nothing on me to come back on. And that's kind of where you want to be. So, make sure. And the other thing that I tell everybody is that if it's important, then it should be in the contract. And if it's not in writing, it doesn't count. So the other question I got on this land assembly, I think the realtor put in there somewhere that, we assume that, it was meant that, this was to be paid regardless. Well, if it was meant to be paid regardless, why didn't you put it in the freaking contract? Don't assume anything. So don't assume. If it's important, put it in the contract, and always get legal advice on these custom clauses to protect yourself, because we're not lawyers. We're not inspectors, and this had to do with an inspection, that the a technical thing about drains and sewers and so on and so forth that I couldn't even tell you about, and you guys can't either. So don't assume, or don't assume the liability of an inspector or a lawyer or an accountant. Don't give GST advice. Don't give foreign buyers advice, whether they can buy or they can't buy. That's not in our realm. If the guy is a Canadian living in, Bogota, Colombia, and wants to buy a house here, but his wife is Colombian, and, they want to put it in both names, and da 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 da. What are the ramifications of that for taxes? I have no clue. Let me call Ken Pasner, right? Or I'll have you call Ken Pasner. So you pass that on, and you've got to relieve the liability. If they ask you about the roof or something, well, let's get an inspection done, and you can ask the inspector. And I've been saved so many times by inspectors because they were between me and my client. Last deal I closed, I went in. The client couldn't make it for the closing, for the walkthrough. So I met with the other realtor. We did the walkthrough, and I found that when I did the walkthrough, because I was working for my client, I decided that I should do this like it's my own. And it was a small place. It was a 1 bedroom. So I turned on all the taps. I turned on the shower. I turned on the tub. I turned on the dishwasher. I turned on I checked the fridge, the freezer. I turned on all the elements. I checked the stove, and I made sure all the lights worked, and I checked everything there. What I found is that even though we had gone through the place together, my client and I, and when he bought it, before he bought it, and did everything, I found, and we had an inspector come in, and he checked everything. He went on the roof of the place. He went in the basement, and looked at the parkade, and it was an older building, so there's leaks in the parkade, and that's pretty standard down there. You go into any parkade, and you're going to see white stuff, the salt that comes out of the water or something, or I don't know what it is, comes into the lower area. But what you're looking for is significant problems and issues, and that's where I send that to the inspector. And they did the outside of the building, they did the roof, they did all of the lower area, the storage, the parking, everything. They did everything, the patio, the thing, and they did a whole inspection. So when I went to do this, and I'm with the guy now, I think we're closed already. So the money had already transferred hands. So once that money leaves your client's bank, you lose all leverage. All leverage is gone. The guy's got the money. They could care less, but sue me. I don't give a shit. I'm not doing anything more if that's their attitude. So we got to the inspection, went through everything, and I turned on this. I said, "What's the switch for in the kitchen?" Well, that's the carburetor. Well, it turned on, well, nothing happened. Well, the carburetor is not working here. The contract states that all appliances are to be in working order at the time that we viewed it. He said, "Well, it wasn't working when you viewed it." I says, "Well, let me check with my client, and I'll have them check with the inspector." Sure enough, I called the client and said, "Hey, what's up here with this thing?" And I said, "Was it on the inspection that it wasn't working?" He says, "Yeah, Doug, it was on the inspection, it wasn't working. That's on me." So he had the inspection done. The inspector worked for him. I referred the inspector, and I arranged the times, but the inspector and my client worked together directly. I was not in the middle of that. I did not interpret. I didn't actually even have a copy of the inspection report. So my client says to me, he's a friend of mine. He says, "Doug, that's on me. I'm fine with that. It was in the inspection. It was noted and all that." So that just saved me $500, because had I missed that, and I would have probably had to pay for that, because I don't want to lose my client. I'm going to get $8,000 or $9,000 for this deal. I'm not gonna let my negligence get in the way of that. So I never count my money until it's in the bank and I'm done and the deal's closed. So I would have had to put aside another $500 and to pay for that, and that comes out of my commission. So when you're doing these deals, guys, don't count the money. Don't go on your holiday as soon as you get your subject removal and head for Mexico. All right. And not a good thing to do because you really haven't earned the money yet. Wait until the deal closes. You've done the walkthrough, everything's done. Because for one thing, you're going to have to do some kind of a gift to your client. That's just the way things go. Usually, I'll put about 10% aside for whatever that is, and depending on how extravagant you want to get, but usually it's about $500. Usually, I'll do a gift basket depending on the person, and I'll do maybe I usually do a gift certificate. So usually if it's a young person that has nothing, like most of you guys, it'll be a gift certificate to IKEA. And you guys love that because your money goes a little further at IKEA than it does anywhere else. I'm not going to go to one of these top end stores and get you that where you can only get a lamp for $300. IKEA, you get pillows and blankets and whatever you want, and all this other stuff. So, and people really like that. So have that set aside. But the thing is about clauses is use the standard clauses that are in web forms as best you can. Every once in a while, you're going to have to stray off of that. But what I normally do in those cases is I'll use the clauses that are in web forms as a basis for my modified clause, and I'll change it a little bit here and there to try and keep it as simple as possible. But always keep in mind that, and between you and the other realtor, and you should even have this conversation with realtors working with Bianca and say, Bianca, look, we got to make up a clause here, but let's make it perfectly clear so that if a third party were to read it in a judge, that they would clearly understand it. So there's no misunderstandings here because it's in both Bianca's interest and my best interest to not go to court and to have these things perfectly clear. So that's what the rules of cooperation are talking about. Sometimes I'll help the other realtor if I think that it's gonna ultimately make the contract a little bit clearer. So have that conversation up front because you're both getting paid for it. You're both working for your clients, and your client's best interest that the deal closes without any further ado on anything like that. If you write this convoluted, long, weird freaking clause that has dates and this and that in it, you're probably going to run into problems because somebody's going to misinterpret it. Your client's going to see it one way, my client's going to see it another way. When it comes down to closing, who's doing what, and no, this isn't the way it is. And Ali, you can see that right away. Where this kind of happens very very quickly, and then we're into errors and omissions. Now, if we do write something wrong like that, we do have errors and omissions. But talking about your commission again, your deductible for errors and omissions is $2,000 for you, and you got to pay the deductible for the office, which is another $2,000 to protect the office. Because if somebody sues you, they sue you and the office. They sue everybody. And so you're the realtor is responsible for the deductible on the errors and omissions. And what errors and omissions does, it's not insurance to pay anything out. They'll protect us in court. So if your client sues you, or the other client sues you, or somebody sues you, errors and omissions, what they'll do is they'll put up our defense for us, and they'll defend us if we haven't, if it isn't fraud or something like that. They'll defend us in court, and if they lose, then they'll pay that. But you still got to pay the deductible. So think about that when you're working with clauses. They do have a consequence, and what our job is as realtors is to write a binding contract. That's it. And if you stick to the straight and narrow, and you guys will be, pretty much straight and narrow for the first little bit here, your contract should be pretty straightforward. You use the Boilermaker contract purchase and sale is all on there. All of the clauses that you're going to need are in web forms as well. All of the strata documents requests and all of the title searches and all that stuff, time clauses. There's all kinds of clauses that we can use in there that are available to us. So make sure you stick to between they call it the mustard and the mayonnaise. Anybody know what that means? Staying between the mustard and the mayonnaise. If you drive down, it's a trucker term. The yellow line is the center line. The white line is the ditch line. So stay between the mustard and the mayonnaise going down the road for real estate, and use the clauses that are given to us as best as possible. If you have to deviate outside of that, talk to your managing broker, me, or have your client, refer it to a lawyer. In the one case there, with the land assemblies there, I just referred him to a lawyer because these guys are way out of my league. I mean, they're talking 3 different deposits at different times, and if they don't pay this, do they get their money back from the first one? Or if they pay the first, and it's not something that I that's a lawyer's thing. We can only do so much, guys. We're realtors. We're not lawyers. We're not accountants. We're not a thing. So keep that in mind going forward. Don't assume responsibility where we're not there. We're just there to write contracts, and that's a straight up contract. If it's outside of that, we're going to have a problem with it. So back to your question, or not to your thing there, Ali. Get Paul involved right away. He'll give the guy pre-approval, and off you go for shopping there. Joey, how are you doing? What's going on in your world?
Pretty good. I'm just getting I finally done my component 4 and just I still need to talk to the board that they need to get rid of that restriction on their website. It still shows that on it.
Um, well, I wouldn't worry about that, Joey. I think your
Mm.
bigger problem would be getting a client. To be honest with you, I don't sweat the small stuff. And I told Ali this when she came into my office at the Can't Make class last week. I said, Ali, when you got 2 options, one's going to make money for you and one's not, take the one that's going to make money. So, put your efforts into going forward and getting those clients. Bianca and Joey, are you working with any clients right now? How about you, Bianca? Where are you at?
Me, not yet, but I'm just like finally starting to like really get myself out there and I'm trying to meet as many people as possible. And I'm trying to network as much as possible. So hopefully I will find myself my first client first, and I'm probably going to start door knocking in some areas in North Van. And yeah, that's my next full on focus. Yeah. Last week was a week
Do you
wasted.
have business cards?
I do, but I've ordered them and I'm just waiting to come pick them up at the office once they've
What
arrived.
about you, Joy? Do you have business cards?
Yeah, I have already ordered it. Just waiting to come here.
Okay, well, get your business cards, guys, and start handing them out. I mean, start doing that. Get a shirt or something like that, and start wearing that around a little bit. It's going to cause questions, especially, and send out an email asking for help from all your friends and family, saying, "Hey, I'm a realtor. If you know anybody." There's an alarm going on next door, so it might. If I have to run out, you'll know there's a fire, place on fire. So we'll see after they just test it or whatever. So get out there, and your biggest problem, or your biggest problem, is going to be prospecting, guys. We can all do this stuff online and all these CMAs and writer contracts and all that, but it's all of no use unless you have a contract or a client to work with to get that out there. So, your 90% of your day right now should be prospecting, talking to people, picking up the phone, calling everybody you know. Bianca, you just completed university, did you not?
Well, almost. It's such a thorn in my side because it's just like I can't wait to have it done, but I'm almost done that I have to finish it. Otherwise, that's just so much
Where,
money wasted. I have to leave here to go to a class. I have 4 classes left, but everyone knows that I'm a realtor now. I've been telling everybody, and I'm messaging my professors and everybody that likes me at school. And then I have a question.
yeah.
Cold calling, like how do I access, like how do we, like who do you call? Do you just call random people from the phone book? Like, does that even exist? A phone book still?
Well, it's not a phone book anymore. It's all online. But they have 411. I think 411. I haven't called 411 in a long time, but 411 used to be the directory assistance, right? I don't know if they have it anymore. Here, I just Google everything now. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can call anybody. But the thing is that you need to get a do not call list. So the do not call list is it's made up by the government of Canada. And these guys are really difficult to deal with. CRTC, Canadian Radio and Telecommunications. They've got it all. They've got it all. Just gonna. they've got it all ass backwards in the way they do it. In that you can put your name on this do not call list for free. And then all of the vendors or solicitors have to buy a copy of the do not call list. And if you don't, as a vendor or a realtor, or these marketing guys, these guys that get the calls all the time, they're supposed to have this do not call list. Well, I get calls on my phone and my number's on that do not call list. I get calls all the time, so it's bullshit. It doesn't work half the time. But for realtors, the problem with us is that we're kind of we're there. We're the guy left standing. They know who we are. We're licensed. We got everything there. They can find us pretty easy. These guys that work in these call centers can be anywhere in Bangladesh or wherever the hell they are. I don't know. They could be, and you can't really find them anywhere. And they don't leave numbers sometimes, and it's kind of hard to track them down. But so for us, and I've had this as a managing broker, where one of our guys hired a lead generating agency that would call on his behalf, and they would leave his name and number on the call and say, call me back, whatever. I'm a realtor, or whatever. It somehow was integrated. I can't remember exactly what the story was. The lead generation company said they had a do not call list and they paid for it. Now, the problem with this do not call list is it's freaking expensive. For the area code, for a certain area, I think area code 604 is like $250 a month. And what they do is they upgrade it, they update it every month. So you have to buy it every month. It's ridiculous. How many people are going to sign into the do not call list every month that I have to update it every freaking month? So what I did is, as a realtor, is I bought it once a year. I didn't update it. I'm not paying them. I took the 250, and I got it. There's a service online, and let me see if I can find it for you. I'm just going to step out of here and look into my thing. I think I have it here somewhere. You can look up the National Do Not Call list. And I had another program that I was running. So I'm just looking through my thing here, underground storage, power play. It's a service. Let me just, I can't find it offhand right now because we're kind of off topic here, but it's a telemarketing service. And what I did was, you buy the do not call list. You have to have your own, and you download it into the program. And then what you do with the program is kind of like Paragon. I would draw a circle or an area that I wanted to call. So maybe I'm doing open houses in this area, whatever, and I'd put it in a certain area. Maybe, and what this would be used for, like you can do the shotgun approach where you can call any freaking number there, and that'll just list all the ones you can't call, and they'll turn red, and the other ones you can call. But that's kind of, for you, Bianca, that's kind of a shotgun approach. What I would pick is a certain area, and let's just say, for example, maybe Ali, you're doing an open house in a house for Rihanna, and it's on the 500 block, whatever, Broadway, whatever it might be, that area there, or it might be in an apartment building. It might be one of the units there. So what I would do is I would circle that apartment building or that block or a couple of blocks, and then I would isolate those numbers. And then what I would do is I get on the phone and I would start calling the people in the building and say, look, hey, my name is Doug Foulds from Century 21. I don't mean to bother you, but I'm having an open house. I have a listing in your building there, and I'm having an open house, and I'm having a special open for owners that want to drop by. I have coffee and donuts and stuff like that. If you want to come by before my general public open house, I'd be more than happy to host you and come on by. And I had some really, really good success with that, because what you're talking to now, you have something in common with other people, because it's something of interest to them specifically. It's not just a generic call out of nowhere where I'm calling some guy in Coquitlam and and saying, hey, Mike, it's Doug Foulds 21. Yeah, I'm doing free home evaluations. Would you like me to come out and evaluate your home? I'm going to be in your area. That was the other one that had a lot of success with. You can do that, but you want to have some kind of a trigger to work with. So you're doing free home evaluations. You're doing an open house in the area. You're wondering if they'd like to come by and attend your open. So you're kind of targeting where you want to, where your calls are going and what they're doing. So two things. The do not call list was about 200, 250. I did it for the year and I put it in there now. No, nobody ever heard that. You're supposed to get the yearly one. I don't know, but hey, at least I tried. The other one is you get this telemarketing thing. It's about 250 a year. Now, what we used to do is we used to team up with other people, so the three of you could get one, and split up the price, and you just use the same program, the same login, but you call at different times and whatever. You know what I mean? So if that's something you want to do, the other thing there is that we've got Tim and Andy in the office there. You can join their team or you can buy leads from them, and they kind of generate the leads and they get them out there, and you can just buy them, pay them whatever 500 a month, and they'll give you whatever leads, or you can
What's
join
the
their
name?
team.
What's the name of the program you were just talking about where you could like circle the
I don't
like
know. I
building?
have to look it up. I'll send it to you. It's tele listings or something like that. I have it in my somewhat in one of my databases somewhere, and I'll have to send that in the do not call list. I'll send you both of those, the links to both of those as soon as I can find that. Okay, I can't remember the exact name, but it was pretty good. It's out of Quebec, this thing, and what they did is it's a directory assistance too, like you said. So they give you all of the numbers, and then you plug in your do not call list, and it turns the ones that are registered do not call red, so you don't call them and you call everybody else. So it works pretty good. It's kind of expensive, but you got to do everything you can. You guys have to have like 10 pokers in the fire all the time. And what I mean by that, some people don't understand what pokers are, but when you're branding cows, when you branded one cow, the poker would be cold, so you couldn't do the next guy. So you'd have 10 pokers in there to brand them. So you could just go through them all and hit them all at the same time. That's the same with us. You have to be doing the do not call. You have to be talking to your friends and family. You have to be, generating leads somewhere. You have to be sponsoring something or volunteering somewhere. Get your volunteer level way up there and start. And even if you're, and I don't mean to be um, on unsympathetic, but if you're working in the soup kitchen downtown in East Hastings there, and the homeless are coming in, you're feeding them. The homeless guys aren't gonna buy the house, but the other volunteers are usually pretty wealthy. I mean, the people that I know that volunteer, they're all loaded. They have more time and money than the average folk. Like, the working stiff doesn't have time to, do his 8 or 9 hour shift, go down there and serve soup to people. It's not, but people that aren't, have the wherewithal and have the money, are some, and I'm not saying that as a cross thing, but it could be anybody, but the people that you're volunteering with may have that. You might like horses, then go after, go and volunteer in the stables. If you like sports, you like baseball or something, volunteer for this or that, something else. I mean, I hang out with, I have nieces and nephews that play baseball and soccer and all that. And I'm always at those things, and Christ, it's loaded with moms and dads, and they're all there all over the place, and all they do is sit and chat and watch games, whatever. And they bring things, and grandma brings the cookies and the stuff and for the kids and so on. Get involved in that kind of stuff, and make sure you don't have to sponsor it. If you're sponsoring everything, you're going to spend a lot of money and not go anywhere. So careful about sponsoring stuff. Yeah, it's a good idea, it sounds great and all this stuff, and you're going to be the king of the world and sponsor the soccer team and buy everybody t-shirts. You spend $500-600 and you don't get any deals out of it, it's going to be pretty depressing. But if you go there and provide the cookies and the whatever pops for the kids, whatever they want, and do that and show up a little bit, or help clean up after, whatever the case might be, you're gonna meet people. So make sure you're out there doing whatever you can, and you got to get a list. And I think I went over that with Bianca and Joey. We went into GSP or whatever, GTS, what is it called?
GPT.
GPT.
I think GPT, yeah.
Yeah, Chat GPT. I don't even know what that stands for. Anybody know what it stands for? GPT? I don't know.
Generated program technology,
There you
maybe.
go. Wonderful. So I said, we wrote in there, write a business plan for Doug Foulds Realtor. And it did. And if you do that, and I think, Ali, you're missing on that, but do that. and follow the frickin' thing. It says exactly what to do. You know, get into your social media and let everybody know. You know, get some marketing going on there. You know, do this, do that, do something else. You know, and so on and so forth. But I would definitely for you guys, you should be looking on your Paragon, and if you look in the upper right hand corner, can you all do that? Can you all log into your Paragon, please? Because we're going to start moving into that pretty quickly here. And what I'm doing, guys, of people that I don't want people in and out of the courses all the time because I lose track of where you are, and I don't think it's fair to the people that are attending the class on a regular basis. And I want to keep you guys moving because I want to get you guys. I've got this class and next class. They're going to be a little bit longer, but I want to get you guys through most of it as soon as possible. So we're going to go at least till noon today. So Bianca, you're going to have to. When's your class at your other one? You got to go to university that you promised me that you didn't have to do anymore.
I know. And then afterwards, so not that this affects these classes. So I had to drop one class, and because I need to take certain classes in order for me to graduate and be done with university, I had to take another class that starts at 11:30 till 2:30 on Wednesdays.
You're fired.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you guys, you know, it's your career.
I really wish I did. I know. I really wish. It's just, yeah, it's really crappy. I'm sorry. I would rather.
You don't have to be sorry to me. It's sorry to yourself because
I know.
you know, we're going to go on and we're going to do it. And if you miss it, you'll have to start over again in another one. So you know that's only fair to the people that are showing up. And I'm changing the format of this going forward. If you know if you're not showing up to the courses that we're putting on, because I don't have to put these on. They're for your benefit, not mine. And if you're not showing up to them, I'm not gonna hold up the people that have taken the time to show up to the courses to move forward. And you know you'll have to start with the new guys at the beginning again. So for you, Bianca, you're here, so that's fine. Don't worry about it. We're gonna go. Is everybody okay for next week? I keep asking you guys every week. All right, yeah. So what about you, Bianca?
Next week, I'm gonna be. It's just this week I need to show up because I missed the class last Wednesday or whatever. I'm a bit behind, so I want to introduce myself to the professor and be on time. Next week I'll be late and I'll just stay here, and then.
Well, what do you mean you'll be late?
I'll be late to my university class, is what I'm saying.
All right, well, whatever. But I mean, you guys, you've got to really work on your time management and block it off. And you know, like I do that all the time. If I have a meeting, if I have these sales meetings every Tuesday and Wednesday, I book them off. If I have a doctor's appointment, the doctor wants to see me on Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Let's say, sorry, I can't make it. Can we do another time? Let's do Thursday or let's do the afternoon or wherever we can. Same with Tuesdays. I block them off. And you guys are going to have to start being able to do that to work with your clients and do certain things. You really need to do your time management because I think one of the biggest assets that you have is your time. And you have to be able to manage that in a way that you get the maximum production out of it going forward. You know, for me as a new realtor, I would think the sales meetings. Who was at this? Were you at the? Who was at the sales meeting yesterday? What did we talk about?
Assignments.
And listing contracts, right?
Mhm.
Well, that's exactly part of this course. I mean, we talked about what's the difference, Joey, what's the difference between an exclusive listing and an MLS listing?
Well, the MLS is the thing that you can go on the public, where the exclusive, wait, is just your listing. Like,
Yeah, it's private. It's not on the MLS.
right.
So
It's
one's
not
on the
on
MLS,
MLS.
one's not. But you know, that information to you guys is very important when we're talking about things and even in this class. So guys, you're getting all of this for free. You know, and it's part of your career to pull that out of there. Don't just blow it off. I'm not going to the sales meeting because I'm too busy. Well, bullshit. You know, you guys don't know the difference between or didn't know the difference between an exclusive and MLS listing. These are important information that you need to do going forward. If your client wants to list a place, but they're not ready to show it right now, what are you going to do? You don't want to walk away and walk out of there. Christ, you worked too hard to get the goddamn listing in the first place. So what you're going to do is you're going to do an exclusive for a couple of weeks until they get their act together, and then they want to show it. then we'll do, but I'm going to tie them up. I don't want another realtor walking in there and signing them up, for Christ's sakes, because they will. They've probably made inquiries out there to different realtors at different times that, you know, hey, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that. Well, if you miss the boat on that one there, you don't know what an exclusive listing is, and you can only do it in the MLS. And then Bill calls the guy and says, hey, I know last week you sent me an email about listing, whatever. Is there anything I can help you with? Oh yeah, well, we're thinking about listing. We're talking to Allie, and she's, you know, she doesn't want to go on the MLS. Well, I'll tell you what I can do for you. I'll do an exclusive listing for now. We'll get everything set up for you, and then we'll switch it over to MLS when you're ready. But in the meantime, I can still market your place, and you don't have to show it. How's that? Boom, you're out of there. You're gone. And two things are going to happen. One, it shows your inexperience, and two, I'm going to scoop you on it because I have no problem with that. I don't care. and that's real estate. It's a tough business, and it's all dog eat dog kind of thing. So get used to it. And when you get into commercial side of that, if you ever do a commercial, they're even worse. Those guys have no scruples at all. They'll scoop you on a deal. They'll take it right in front of you. And they're the BCFC is a little more lenient on them because usually a commercial deal, you're dealing with more sophisticated clients rather than mom and pop that we normally deal with in our day-to-day basis. So guys, it's up to you where you want to take your career, but I would suggest that you really work on your time management and slot that time off, for all the meetings. And they're not always the most exciting thing, but I'll tell you, there's always something in there that pertains to what you're doing as far as your marketing goes. And you want to get your head in the game, and just start attending those. Doesn't matter what team you're on, care less about the team. Attend as many as you can and going forward on that one there. So what we're going to do right now, guys, is have you guys all opened up your MLS? So I'm just going to share with you here a little bit, and I'm going to show you kind of where I want you to go, what you should be doing on a daily basis. I'm going to move this over here. Go back to home, and I'll go to Zoom, and I'll share. Can you guys see my MLS here? Why is my home not working here? Oh, gotta sign in again. So up here in this, go away. Up here in this corner up here, when it loads, it's really slow right now. When it loads, I can do the market stats. I can do office stats. In office stats, we had 14 new listings. There's active 54, sold, expired. All of these are listed here. But I would keep my eyeball on these ones here, the listings that we have. And if you see something out there that maybe you would be interested in doing an open house on, I would contact the realtor on that. So if you open up the listings here, these are all office. These are all our guys in our office. Okay, we've got Chris Pierce, Mike Walton here, Chris Mangion. Let's look at what he's got here. He's got Vancouver East, Hastings Sunrise, McGill Street, 449. Hey, I got clients that are kind of interested in that. So what I might do with that one there is, I don't know why this doesn't. Looks like it's a ground floor spot, 1 bedroom somewhere. It might be a leasehold. I don't know. Gonna go down here, look at it, see if it is a leasehold. It's pretty inexpensive. Registered owner, freehold strata. It's a freehold strata, so not bad. A good price. What I would do is I would call Chris and say, hey, Chris, it's Doug from the office there, the same office. I know you've never met me, but I would be interested in doing an open house for you if you got an opening for me, or I wouldn't mind attending with you and just seeing what you do and going through it, and get to know some of these guys and start meeting them. And I'll tell you, if I go and help him out as an assistant in an open house, if he has an opening where he can't make that, he plays baseball. I know Chris pretty well. He plays baseball a lot. He's busy on the weekend, can't make it, but he's promised his client's going to do an open. He can have you do it for him, and you're going to be the first call. So make sure you're prospecting. Not only, remember those 10 pokers in the fire, you're prospecting other realtors as well in the office. And it doesn't have to be your team member or your mentor or anything like that. You can do any one you want. Now, the general rule of thumb for open houses is that you know, you can do my open house. I'm not going to pay you for it. But if you get a buyer coming out of that, that's yours. That's fine. That's really what, you know, why we do open houses. So for you new realtors, yes, this cold calling is okay, but I'll tell you, Bianca, you call me on the phone and you get shot down 100 times, you're not going to feel too good about it, and you've got to be a really good person, really good communicator on the phone to be able to kind of snatch those leads out of there. You got to be exceptionally good with you know, really thick skin, and people telling to you, well, screw off, you're just a, you know, you're why you bother me during dinner, get out of here, don't call me again.
No, I agree. I was Mike Walton's my mentor from Century 21, and we had a big talk about that. And I'm doing open houses this weekend for him.
Yeah, well, and that's, I think that's probably your best bet at prospecting right now. So get out there and do, my point here is to, if you don't have one, for Christ's sakes, find one. You know, and if they don't want to do one on the weekend, how about I do one on a Thursday evening or something? Would you like to do an evening one? You got to be persistent with everybody, with your clients, with, you know, with other realtors. If you know, and you know, it can be obnoxious, but you want to be, hey, I can do one on the evening if you want one. Try that. Maybe doctor or lawyer might come, or a nurse or a fireman might come by. They can't make it on the weekends or on shifts. You know, maybe you want to try one during the week. I'll do it for you for free, no problem at all. You know, you got to kind of get out there and start doing those. The other thing is if you're not doing an open house on your own, for Christ's sake, go and see what's out there in your area. You know, go to the open houses that are posted online for other realtors and look at what they're doing. Look at their brochures. Look at how they're presenting themselves, and you're going to really see a difference between the mediocre guys that sitting in the corner on his phone and they do like this for you. Yeah, yeah. That's the mediocre guy. And then you've got the guy that's very attentive. Hey, how are you? Well, are you with a realtor? Are you working with a realtor? Was there anything I can tell you? Oh, you're working with a realtor. Well, that's fine. Well, if there's anything you need, here's a brochure. Let me know. I can answer any of your questions and I can tell you around. And even if you're with a realtor, what I'll do is I'll talk to the realtor. Are you from the area? Would you like me to show you around? Would you like me to show you and your client around? And I'll do it that way because this realtor might be from Coquitlam. They're from Coquitlam. They don't know anything about downtown. Let me tell you about the building. This is a very special building, by the way. You know, it was built in 86. It was, you know, during Expo, and they did some really special things with it. They have a, you know, this and that. They have this and that, something else to it. I was in ones in New Westminster where I didn't know it, but when you go to the ground floor, it goes right to the Sky Train. So you don't even have to go to your build. Did you know that we have buildings in New West that you can go to the basement and get into the SkyTrain? It's pretty crazy. I thought, oh, I got to see that. So, but I used the other realtor for that information. So, you know, make sure that you're doing your homework on these places, and that's why I'm saying if you go out with Chris or whatever, and you know you're working as his assistant, he'll tell you all about that and tell you what the neighborhood's going on, what's happening here and there, and all those little things that you don't really know. So make sure you're prospecting these guys too. Okay, so going forward on that, your client called you this morning. You got two different clients that called you, and I'll make a note here. I'm just going to stop sharing for a sec. I hate when they start popping these little things up about set up professional audio. I'm like, no, I just want to do the Zoom here. So I'm going to do a chat here if I can find it. So you have two different clients you've been working with. Where did my chat go? Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties here.
Do you mean the chat in the Zoom?
Yeah.
It says if you click Alt and H, like the letter H, it might pop up.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I found it. R28171. That's one. And then the other one is R2816711. So I'm going to post these for you. Waiting room participant is not in this meeting. We don't care who's in there. You guys see those in the chat?
No.
Really?
Oh, it's there. It's there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see it.
Okay, all right. Fair. See, my technical difficulties this morning. So what's happened this morning is that you've been working with a couple of clients now. One's looking for an apartment, one's looking for a house. They're all pre-qualified. They have everything ready to go. Two new listings popped up, and they both called you this morning and said, "Hey, look, I'm thinking about putting an offer in on these properties. So what I want you to do is I want you guys to go on and head and do a CMA on the apartment and a CMA on the house. And I'm talking about a quick CMA. The quick CMA on the apartment is pretty easy and straightforward. The CMA on the apartment, you're going to have to find the comparable properties that have sold in the last 2 or 3 months and figure out the average per square foot that the comparable sold for and multiply that number times the square footage of the subject property and come up with a value. Now that value is intrinsic value. That means it's the actual value based on the sales. There's another side of an evaluation. It's kind of called I call it an emotional valuation, and sometimes they call it a fear of missing out tax, a FOMO tax. Right now, I think Bianca, what's the market doing right now? Where are we at with the market?
Well, it's I think it's different for different price points. That's what we've been like talking a lot about in like our team meetings. So like for places that are under $1 million, like for example, 600,000, 700,000, things are moving faster than like more expensive real estate.
Okay, and the first one is that what price point is that one at?
699
Okay, and the second one, what price point is that at?
to 2,098,000.
So, Joey, what's happening with the 2 million price point?
Sorry.
What's happening with Bianca is saying that anything under $1 million is quite hot, well, warm, hot, warm, hot. But she's saying that the more expensive stuff is a little bit different. So I'm asking you, what's the market doing in $2 million houses?
Yeah, that's a different type of market up there. Cause like anything under $1 million is like for maybe like a first time home buyers and like something people really need it. But then for those product that's above 2 million, that could be more on the luxury side of the market.
Would you call it a luxury house?
Yeah, like
It's a
200.
house in Coquitlam. It's a regular house in Coquitlam. It's not a luxury anymore. I mean, we all think that we're all stuck, and I mean, I'm the worst guy for that, getting stuck in the past. But let me tell you guys, $2 million is nothing for a house right now. It's not a luxury house. It's a regular house in Coquitlam. There's nothing special about it. No pool, no nothing. This is quite a nice house, but it's not a luxury house. It's just a standard really house. It's not a tear down for sure, but it's not a West Van house. West Van's like 10 or $20 million basically. Anyway, but bottom line is, guys, the stats, if you look at the stats, and I'm just going to kind of take a step back here. And let's just review that before we move on. I'm gonna share quickly here. Let's just review that and see where we're at. I'm gonna click on this one here.
As summer winds to a close, higher borrowing costs have begun to permeate the Metro Vancouver housing market in predictable ways, with price gains cooling and sales slowing along the typical seasonal pattern. Let's take a closer look. With borrowing costs fluctuating around the highest levels we've seen in over 10 years, Greater Vancouver Realtors registered about 2,300 home sales on the MLS in August, a 21% increase over this time last year. While these sales are relatively stronger than predicted, they are experiencing a seasonal slowdown. On the supply side, sellers listed about 3,900 homes on the MLS. This is an 18% increase compared to this time last year, and is 5% below the 10-year average for new listings in August. August ended with about 10,080 homes listed for sale on the MLS across the region. This is basically unchanged compared to this time last year, and is 13% below the 10-year seasonal average. This combination of strong sales and limited supply is still putting upward pressure on prices. One tool we use to measure this balance is the sales to active listings ratio. This ratio measures the homes available for sale against the number of homes sold throughout the month. Analysis of historical data suggests downward pressure on home prices occurs when this ratio dips below 12% for a sustained period. Home prices often experience upward pressure when it surpasses 20% over several months. August ended with this ratio at 24% for all homes. By property type, the ratio is 14% for detached homes, 30% for townhomes, and 32% for condos. In line with the strong but slowing sales, price gains are moving to a pace.
Okay, test. Bianca, what's the sales to active ratio on apartments?
32%.
Is that is that more supply and demand? Just summarize what that means, 32%.
It means that there's 32% homes available, like that are coming up into the market.
Nah,
I think it's bad.
you're out of there. Okay,
No.
Joey, what's the sales to active ratio for houses?
That's the listing, like the available list versus
What
the
is the
sold.
percentage? What is the percentage?
32% on apartment.
42 on, no, I said houses.
Houses, this was 14.
Okay, good. And what does that mean?
That mean is just 2% above the rate, which means that is the a seller market, but not that strong of seller market.
Okay, Ali, what's the buyer's market percentage and what's the seller's market percentage? When are prices going down and when are prices going up according to sales to active ratio?
I don't remember. I'm sorry. I don't do well with audio. I'm gonna read the script afterwards.
Okay, well, I'm going to do the audio again because you guys need to know this for your things. So let me just replay that.
Vancouver Realtors registered about 2,300 home sales on the MLS in August, a 21% increase over this time last year. While these sales are relatively stronger than predicted, they are experiencing a seasonal slowdown. On the supply side, sellers listed about 3,900 homes on the MLS. This is an 18% increase compared to this time last year, and is 5% below the 10-year average for new listings in August. August ended with about 10,080 homes listed for sale on the MLS.
Yeah, I'm just going to help you out here.
This is basically unchanged compared to this time last year, and is 13% below the 10-year seasonal average. This combination of strong sales and limited supply is still putting upward pressure on prices. One tool we use to measure this balance is the sales to active listings ratio. This ratio measures the homes available for sale against the number of homes sold throughout the month. Analysis of historical data suggests downward pressure on home prices occurs when this ratio dips below 12%.
So what that's saying, guys, if only 1 in 10 houses is selling, that means that there's more sellers than there are buyers. When you have more sellers out there, you have 100 houses listed, but none of them are selling, what happens to prices?
They go down.
They go down because I want to sell mine before you sell yours. There's only one buyer out there. I want to get the guy. I'm going to drop 50 grand. I don't care. I want to buy. I want to sell my house. I got to move. When this is the sales to active ratio that you guys need to know about. You need to understand this so you know where the market's going so you can evaluate prices. You need to understand if the market's hot or not hot or in the middle somewhere. So let's just continue on here and get that. So if the sales to active ratio is less than 12%, it becomes the buyer's market. Then the buyer has a choice, whatever they want to buy, and the sellers are going to be competing to get their business. That's what that means.
For a sustained period. Home prices often experience upward pressure when it surpasses 20% over several months. August ended with this ratio at 24% for all homes. By property type, the ratio is 14% for detached homes, 30% for townhomes, and 32% for condos.
Okay, so there you go. The questions I asked you were, what is the condo market doing? It's 32%. So the condo market's still hot. There's a lot of business, and like Bianca said, and with Mike and the brand's kind of analysis, the hot market is under $1 million, because that's the only affordable things out there. So it's still a seller's market. That means that you're going to put it up there. It's going to sell fairly quickly if you price it right. That's what that kind of means. For townhomes, it's still pretty hot. I mean, people still want townhomes because they're still affordable. There may be $1 million, $1.2 million, $1.3 million, $1.4 million. They're still out there. But when you start getting into a house in Coquitlam for $2 million, that market is cooled quite a bit. I mean, not a lot of people can afford 2 million. And like you said, Joey, a luxury house, it's the price of a luxury house, but it ain't a luxury house. And that's the problem here. People can't afford that. The two people working, even two professionals making, 125 each or 110 each, whatever, they're making their combined incomes 220 or something like that. I think to afford a house $2 million with a 20% down, you need to be making about 250. So the number of people that are qualified to buy these properties are starting to diminish a little bit, and it's causing this sales to active ratio to go down to 14%. So that's still in a balanced market. There isn't downward pressure on the market yet, but if it continues to go down, there will be the sellers will start competing for the buyers to get those down. So these ratios, is that important to your client? Just going to stop sharing, guys. Are those numbers important to your clients when you're doing an evaluation?
Yes.
Yeah. So make sure you understand them and you're able to explain them. And the best way to explain them is to provide them with that frickin' metric that you see right in front of you. Why reinvent the wheel? When you're talking to your clients, you've got to educate them on what's going on and why you're doing what you're doing and why your evaluations and your advice is coming where it's coming because of these numbers. That's going to give you that fear of missing out or fear of not missing out. If you're where is the market going? What's happening here? Are we in control, or are we just kind of going to get into multiple offers here and throw whatever money we can at this thing to make it happen? So it's really important that you guys keep this monitor in hand. Now, that being said, I'm hearing stories halfway through September that the listings are going up and the sales are going down. So where are these ratios going? What do you think the ratios will be at the end of this month? What are the numbers going to look like?
The percentage is going to go down.
Down, yeah. So houses might go into a buyer's market. At 30 and 32% for townhouses and houses, even if it drops 10%, you're still in a seller's market. So basically, I'm saying that there's some good deals out there in houses. I don't know if you call them good deals at $2 million to replace Coquitlam, but they're better than they have been in a while. But I would still think that townhouses and houses are still going to be fairly robust all the way through the year. They might dip into the balanced market somewhere between 12 and 20% towards the end of the year. But for now, it's still pretty busy out there. So when you guys are doing your evaluations, keep that in mind. If it's a house, you're going to go on the low side of what's going on. The market is slow and it's slowing. For townhouses and apartments, the market is pretty hot. It's calming down, but it's not calming down to anywhere into a balanced or a buyer's market. So you're going to probably have to go top end on the top end. You may not get into multiple offers, but you better and there's a difference between the market value and the asking price. Ali, what's the difference between the market value and the asking price?
Well, market value is more so like compared to the other properties in the area, like it's
The
comparables.
other properties in the area, specify, be specific. What other properties in the area?
Like comparable properties, like of the same like
So I take all of the listings and add them up and figure out what's what?
no, like if you have a 2-bed 2-bath that's like apartment, you have to find other places that are exactly like that in that neighborhood, like
So
very
if I find all the
specific
two
areas.
bedrooms that are listed, I take the average of those two bedrooms that are listed.
Preferably sold within the last 90
There you go.
days, and
That's the key of mine.
yeah.
They got to be sold. It's not what they listed for. And that's the difference between the sold and the asking price. The market value is the actual value based on all of the sold units that are comparable in that area. The asking price can be way higher or way lower. And if you go low, you're probably doing the strategy where you want everybody and their dog to come and look at it, and you're going to get multiple offers, and it's going to go into an auction kind of deal. Whereas if you price it about right, you're not going to get as many people, but you're going to get the ones that are qualified and interested in that property, and you might get 2 offers or 1 offer, but it should be reasonable. If you got this pie in the sky where your client thinks that their house is better than everybody else's, and they're going to list it a way higher than what the market value is, then they're going to sit on the market for 6 or 8 months and nobody's going to come. They're going to get caught in this downward spiral, and they're going to be behind everybody else, and it can be a big problem. So that's your strategy when you're kind of listing, but we want to kind of get into that. So with that in mind, guys, I want you to kind of do a quick evaluation on the apartment and a quick evaluation on the house and see what kind of price you come up with. Bianca, if you have to leave, you have to leave. That's fine.
Sorry, you guys just saw me like getting ready to grab my bags and stuff. Bye. I'll see you guys next Wednesday at 10 a.m.
Yeah, we'll see you then.
Bye.
Ali and Joey, so go ahead and start, do a quick market evaluation on those. We're not going to do a full CMA, but what we are going to do today is we're going to do a quick CMA. You're going to come up with the value for it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take that R number that you got. You're going to open up your Paragon and move into your web forms. And you're going to create, with that R number on there, you're going to create a CPS, contract to purchase and sale on web forms. And whatever number you come up with in your CMA, you're going to put that into your contract to purchase and sale. And along with your contract to purchase and sale, you can make up the dates on that and all that stuff there. It's no relevance on that a month from now, whatever it is, that's fine for dates. But what I want you to do on the contract to purchase and sale is for the condo, I want you to write specific clauses subject to financing, subject to inspection. Those are the 2 main ones, subject to financing, subject to inspection. Then you've got the strata documents. So look up all of the strata. You want a copy of all the strata documents. You want a copy of the insurance. You want to put all your clauses for that in there. When you write your offer for your house, the house doesn't have strata documents. So it's actually easier to write an offer on a house than it is a strata. On a house, your subjects are subject to financing for sure, always on that. Most cases, people don't have $2 million. Subject to inspection, that's the big one. That's a huge one in a house. You want to get that subject to inspection in there, and then subject to subject to title, that kind of thing. So write up a quick offer. So do a CMA on both and write up an offer on both. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put, I'm going to give you half an hour on that to work on it. Is there any questions you have? We'll come back at it's 11:14 now, so 11:45 we'll come back and we'll review these.
I just have to say I do have some groceries that are being delivered, so if I leave for 1 minute, that's what I'm getting. But other than that, I'll be
We're
here.
not going to notice you're gone because
Okay.
I'm going to put my camera on mute and my thing on mute. I'm going to give you guys a half an hour to work on it. When we come back at that last 15 minutes of the session here, if you have to leave, you have to leave. We'll work with Joy. Joy, do you have any questions?
No, we're good. Right? We can start now.
Yeah, so go ahead. I'm going to put my camera on hold. You guys do what you need to do. If you need to use it, need a break, you need a washroom break, do what you need to do. We'll get back at 1:45.
How are you? I haven't seen you for a long time.
I know. Honestly, I kind of miss doing CMA, so I'm very excited.
Hey, how are you gonna go to? How about tomorrow? Are you gonna be at the office first, or are you gonna show up on
I don't know
there?
if I don't know if it's still happening.
Oh, what?
Yeah, because we don't have 50 people yet.
Oh, okay. Uh, I oh, that's why they're sending emails asking people to join. I
Yeah,
see.
I know.
Yeah,
It's sad.
yeah. I was pretty excited for that. I was like, oh,
Guys,
there's
just FYI, that open house, I think I'm going to that, so do attend. I don't know what's going on. I don't think we need
yeah.
50.
It's the Oni construction one. I thought we needed 50 people or else it would get canceled.
I don't know about that. I haven't, did they send an email on that saying it's canceled?
no.
Not yet, but I was gonna ask Angel because I don't think we got. I think we
No,
had
I
maybe
think we go
20
anyway,
people.
guys. They're
Okay.
not gonna blow off 25 realtors coming to their
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things you really got to go to because you're going to meet other
Yeah.
realtors there and you're going to get to know it. So, and make sure you're signed up for all those things to go to all those pre-sales on all of them. I get
Yeah.
invited I go to Concord. I love those because everything's free. I get free drinks, I get free food, I get free prizes. And I
Yeah.
almost made about 50 grand on one. I went to the
Mm.
Concord one. And I don't really sell a whole lot. But I went and I did all of the things, and I got a special financing rate for any client I brought there, and it was really good. It was worth about 100 grand off. And our man, one of our guys, was there too, and he says, "Doug, if you win that, let me know because I got a client." So I said to our man, "I won it. I won this. I didn't have a client, I won it, and it was 100 grand off of financing." And I said to our man, "What's it worth to you?" So, he had his client there and he was going to do it. And, he was going to throw me a referral fee because it cost his client he got 100,000 off for his client. It's worth 4 or 5 grand to him to refer it to me to get that. Right. So, do attend those and get to know those people and introduce yourself to the salespeople, because if you need a favor sometime, and like our man said in the meeting, you can't always get in first place in these guys, but if you know that person and I call you up and say, "Hey, Joey, yeah, we met at your open house there. Do you think you can get me in?" And Joey's always, these guys always have leeway. Let me talk to my manager, Doug. Let me see what I can do. Then I'll get a call back there. "Hey, Doug, I can get you in. Come on down. I'll let you in first." Kind of thing. And you really need that kind of rapport. And that's rules of cooperation and cooperating with the other brokers. So do go to that, guy. Sorry, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
step out now.
Oh,
Wait,
no,
wait,
I will.
wait. What was the incentive you're talking about? Like the mortgage, like 100 grand off their
Well, yeah, that was
price, or
Concord.
what?
When I went to they have these realtor events. And when
Right.
you go to the events, they give cars away or year lease on a Porsche. They had a Rolex watch they're giving away. But one of the prizes was that if you won it, you spin a wheel, and if you won it and you bought within 3 months of that date, your client would get half price on 3 years of the first 3 years of their mortgage, which worked out to be $100,000 in savings for the client.
On the price itself, or like the mortgage guy's gonna
Well,
give them their.
on the mortgage. So
Oh,
if you would have got a mortgage for 700,000
right.
and got it half price for, like instead of 3%, got it for 1.5% for 3 years, and you calculated it out, 700,000 times whatever it was, it worked out to a savings of $100,000 for a client.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying to you. I put my name in for all this stuff, and half of the stuff I went in, then I was going to give it to, because I didn't have a client, but our man did. So I asked them right there. I said, "Is this transferable to one of my realtors?" They said, "Yes, it is. Go ahead. If you want to transfer over, we'll take it." So I was going to transfer it to his client. So his client would have got 100 grand off. It's not for a client that's going to pay 100% cash, but for somebody who needed 70% financing, it would have been fine. And then he did have that. We did have that. We're going to save their guy 100 grand. He was going to pay me a referral fee and so on and so forth. So these prizes are worth something, but not only that, for you guys, you need to get out there and get your head in the industry and find out what's going on and know what inventory is out there and what's going on, what the developers are doing, because you might get an assignment of contract on one of those, and you got to know what's going on and what's there and who the players are. So get out there and start attending these things as much as you can. Like the one tomorrow, we'll all go to and we'll see you guys there. But I'm just going to go on hold here, and I've got to step away for a minute.
okay. All All right. I'll see you there tomorrow.
Oh, I will. I was the first person to message Angel back, being like, "I'll be there." Like, free food. I was there. I was like,
Free
I'm
drinks as
there.
well, though.
I did see that. I did see that.
All right, let's
Let's-
get the CRA
Let's
done
do this.
first.
Let's do this. There's no strata docs for the condo. I just noticed
Th-
that.
There's no strata docs.
Not on
Oh,
the Paragon.
oh, you're right. There's nothing on there though.
We can just add it in the as a clause, like
Clause.
please send strata docs for for more. Okay. I think I have my price for the condo. I kind of lowballed him a little bit.
Yeah, I got that one too. Do we need to do that?
I
The
think we
web
got to do
form?
a contract.
Do we have to do the the contract for now, or that's something after the class?
No, you guys gotta write the full contract. So write a contract, you're gonna put an offer in.
Right now, okay.
So just do it quick, guys. I'm not gonna get not too worried about really what I want. Don't worry about the dates, but just put the deposit. Just do a quick one
Mhm.
and, get the clauses in there, okay?
Yeah. Okay, I have a dumb question. Which of the contracts of purchase and sale is it again? Because I can't find the OG one. It's only giving me the amendments and the
No, it's there. It's CPS,
addendum.
the Vancouver, Vancouver real estate or BC real estate one. It's just type CPS and it should come up. There's all the amendments, addendums and all that, but then there's one
Mhm.
just says CPS, contract to purchase and sale, residential or something.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Sorry, I was writing out contract of purchase and sale. I see. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you got to learn, guys, when you're doing your clauses and stuff and searching, learn to search different ways, different keywords. Same with your clauses. They're really funny, and I have to kind of modify my search. Like I'm working for financing or mortgages. It doesn't come up under financing, and you got to type mortgage in there. You got to do it different ways. So get used to when you're doing your search how to search different keywords, and you'll probably have more success. Okay, we're 11:45 here. We're kind of, I know you haven't got it done, but you're all hard at work. Let's start with the valuations. Ali, what did you get for the valuation for the apartment? Can you guys hear me? Okay, Ali, what did you get for your valuation for the apartment, the first one?
Let me quickly see. I decided it would be best under the like way under the asking price. I made it 670,000.
Okay, and what was the asking price?
The asking price was like 690, 699.
Okay, well that's reasonable. What did you get, Joey, for that one?
So yeah, the analysis is below the asking price, but then given that the data you showed us, the video on the sales active ratio, I probably my listed price my asking price is go over their listed price.
Okay, so you got two different strategies there. You got Ali that went under, and you got Joy that went over. So yeah, well that's it's how much what was your final price?
I made it as 720. Sorry, how did I say the number? 726. I did.
So you went 26,000 over?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money over. Why so far over?
Well, because the number on the stats says that was like the sales active ratio was like 42. Like
Yeah,
could be
well, the
could be
sales to
really
active
competitive.
ratio is one thing. That means
Right.
it's a hot market. It doesn't give
Right.
you the price though. What did you get for the actual value? What did your CMA say the value ought to be per square foot?
1 second. My shows is the 1,000 around 1,400.
1,014
Yeah,
per square foot?
1,400.
1,400 per square foot.
Yes.
What did you get, Ali, for that?
Mine was 1,460.1. So I made the price be with the square footage of the property, it should have been 674,566,000.2. So I went even lower than that by like $4,000.
Okay, and Joey, if you came up with 1,400 for your average per square foot sold,
Mm-hmm.
can you guys share your screen? I want to see where you guys are off because your number should be pretty accurate.
Okay. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, just a second here. I'm gonna make you co-host.
Okay.
And Ali, I'll make you co-host. Okay, so show first of all, Joey, you show me your comparables.
Okay.
And Bianca, you kind of compare your comparables with hers. You only got two there.
Yeah, that's the comparable I got,
Okay,
which
and they
is
were
was sold in the last 60 days
yeah, that's fair
in
enough. Yeah.
the same building.
Okay, show me the summary again. Um, so does it say per square foot?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. The
Where's the sold per square foot though?
here.
Where is it? Selling price total. Is that the average?
That's the average, like per total.
1396. So you got two in the same building last 3 months. And their average is 1396 per square. Well, that looks fair. Okay, stop sharing for a sec. And Ali, you show me what you got. Where did you get your 1460 then? Have you got a summary? Just hit search on that and it should come up with a summary. Okay, these are all over the board. Your different buildings.
Ali, you're on mute.
I can't hear you, Ali. What year were all these built? Have you got a column where it shows year built?
Sorry, there we go. Though this isn't the one that I actually did. As I was saying, was the one that I did was refreshed, so I could do the one for the Coquitlam area. But the one that I had, I made it in a very specific area. I don't think it was this one. I think it was like, because the property is like around here, so I did it in this area. And my criteria was 1 bed, 1 bath within the 90 days, and it showed me 4 at first. I don't know if you guys can see my Word document here. Can you see this one?
I can just see your Paragon.
Let me new share here. Can you guys see this one?
Yep.
This is what I got the original time. There was 4 properties, and it was exactly this price per square foot after I did the average of the 3 properties within that little block.
Okay.
And then
well,
the price should have been that.
Well, I would argue that based on what Joy came up with, and that she got 2 in the same building exactly within the last 60 days. And her average in that building was, 1,400 or 1,396. Whereas, I'd have to see your work.
Yeah.
Because some of the buildings that you use were different buildings. They could be different years. They could be different amenities. They could be a lot of extenuating circumstances that I can't tell what they are. So with Joey's, what was the square foot of that place? What's the subject property square foot?
It was 462, I believe.
So if I did 462 times what Joey got, the 1396. I'm coming up with a price of 644. And what is it listed for?
699.
And Ali, what did you get?
For my asking price?
Yeah.
I decided to make it 670,000, just under the 674 that it would have been with the average.
And Joey, you got 724 or something?
Yeah, 726, I made it.
Okay. All right. What I want you guys to do is I want you to do that one again. Because you're way out, and I need the best possible comparable is in the same building within the last 3 months.
Right.
Now, I try not to compare like a 1,200 square foot with a 400 square foot, because this is probably a studio. So I might compare a studio and a 1 bedroom, but I don't know that I want to compare exactly straight across a studio with a 3 bedroom, 2 bath kind of place. They're not that comparable. They're not, they're 2 different things. A 3 bedroom, 2 bath is not a studio, but it's a reference to you. So try and get what I would probably compare is I would take the actual units in that building up to about 700 square foot and use that. And then if I only had 1 of those or something like that, I might go outside the building. But when I go outside the building, I want like, kind, and quality. So if you're going to go in that neighborhood, you need to when you set up your search parameters, I would want the size to be very specific. I want a studio. But I want the same year of building, and I want the same amenities in the building. You know what I mean? So I want you both to refine your searches to get me stronger comparables, more complete comparables in size. And if the building doesn't have those comparables, go outside the building and you're looking for the size specifically in outside buildings, because you're looking for studios now in that area, but you still need to be cognizant of the age of the building, and so on and so forth. Okay. So I want you to redo that. We're gonna call it a day. It's coming up on noon here, so I'm gonna let you guys go. But I want you to redo that one and refine that a little bit. Come up with a finer one. Joey, you seem to be a way high. And just off the top of my head, even Ali, you were high at 644 because based on Joey's work, I'm coming in at, and I might be wrong here. I'm just taking your information. You know, I'm coming in at about 644 or something like that. You know, for the intrinsic value. Intrinsic value mean based on the sales in that building. That's all it's worth. I wouldn't pay any more than that. And you know, I've gone to battle on these things. I've done buildings where, you know, I've taken the last sale and I've talked to the realtor and they're way high on it. And I says, you're not even close. We're not even going to bother an offer. You can sit on the market all you want, but we're not bringing an offer. And you know, I mean, the thing is that some realtors don't know what the hell they're doing. You know, some do, some don't, and some are following. It's called buying a listing. You take the listing for whatever the client, the seller thinks it's worth, and they think their place is the best because they live in it. And we all do that. That's our own thing where our place is better than everybody else's. I did the kitchen, I did this, I put new appliances in, I put mine's better than Bill's over next door there. I know there's nothing there. You know, so they don't have any, they all have that attitude, but and it's called buying the listing. That means you'll take whatever they put. So in this case here, the actual value is 644. You know, you don't want to go too much higher than that. I mean, nobody's going to buy it because all the other realtors are going to have the same metrics we have. We can see what it's worth. It's not worth that. So anyway, do that one again. Complete the house one and write the offer. Write a complete offer. When we come back next week, we're going to present it. And you're going to present your offer and your findings. So print out a little spreadsheet when you do your comparables. Make sure that your spreadsheet has the year that it was built and, you know, the number of bed, all of that stuff, the maintenance fees in your little spreadsheet. And you're going to show me the spreadsheet. And then you're going to take the average of that sold per square foot on that one there, and then multiply that by the square foot of subject property, give me intrinsic value. And then we know that the market's fairly robust and hot. We have more than one offer. We know that. So you might have to go somewhat above that, but how high above that do you want to go? What's a reasonable amount, you know? So I want you to do that. And then I want you, I know you didn't have time to complete the house, but do complete the house on that one there. On the house one, there's different ways to do CMAs. What I'd like you guys to do is I want you to go, I'm actually in an auto prop course tomorrow. It's a free PDP credit course, but they have online CMA. So you can do your CMA, your comparative market analysis on the house with auto prop. So you might want to, well, do try that. Try using auto prop, do your regular one. But with when you're doing a CMA in a house, you can't just compare the square footage of the house to the square foot of the next house because the lot size is different. Lot sizes aren't as valuable as the square foot of a house, but it's a consideration. If I have, you know, a 6,000 square foot lot with a 2,500 square foot house on it, and I have a 5,000 square foot lot with a 25,000 square or 2,500 square foot house on it, what's the difference in the value? Probably negligible. One guy has 1,000 more square feet of grass to cut, or he's paved it over and doesn't really care. You know, it's not really a difference, but the difference between a 10,000 square foot lot and a 5,000 square foot lot means that the 10,000 one could be subdivided, you know, or something like that. It could have a different value to it going forward. So on houses, you kind of try and find houses with similar size of lots, but definitely like kind and quality pays a bigger thing there. If they're built in the 70s and 80s, then use ones built in the 70s and 80s. If the subject property has been renovated, you want to find comparables that were built in the 70s, 80s that were renovated as well. So your search has to be a little more robust. You have to do a little more homework on it. Look at the pictures, look at this, look at that, you know, and try and find you got to do a little bit more work on it. So think about that when you're doing, but what I am is your client, and you're going to have to present to me why you think the price is the price. Make sense? Okay, that's your homework for next week, and write up the contract of purchase and sale, and then we're going to compare those. We'll go through all of our conditions as well. Do you have any questions, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Okay.
and you're both going to be here next week, no problem.
Yes, no problem. I'll
Right.
see you next week.
All
No,
right,
see you
okay,
tomorrow
guys.
actually though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow at the thing. We'll have some fun. Have a drink.
Thanks.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Bye,
Right.
Doug. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.